The Witness, like any of the best puzzle games, is able to make you feel like a complete and utter genius and a total fool in equal measure. Dreamt up by Jonathan Blow, the creator of indie game revolutionary Braid, it delights in smashing as many mental light bulbs as it illuminates, and offers little in the way of explanation as to why you should subject yourself to it, other than your own personal motivation. Luckily then, with a mysterious world to uncover and a series of puzzles that seem to burrow deep inside your brain, it's hard not to be motivated. And when coming out the other side of it feels like a true personal achievement, The Witness turns out to be one of the best games ever made. If there was one concern hanging over The Witness around its release, it was about the puzzles. Are they really just about drawing lines? Well, yeah. It turns out that each of the game's 500 plus puzzles involves drawing a line from point A to point B on, for the most part, a squared grid. But reducing the value of a game like The Witness down to just lines is like reducing a piece of music down to just sounds. The Witness isn't just anything, at least not a near-endless conveyor belt of ever more difficult mazes. For starters, no game mechanic has recently been as well explored as the simple act of drawing a line through a maze, and each consequence is used as a base layer for each of the game's dozen rules that the puzzles draw from. To start with, you need only to find one viable path from entrance to exit, but soon enough the puzzles evolve to contain symbols that represent new rules that your solution must obey. In some, your path needs to pass through certain points, and in others, you need to keep different symbols separated on either side of the line that you draw. And much like a foreign language, at first these symbols are impossible to understand. Just what does a maze filled with black and white and red dots mean? But with perfectly structured, simple puzzles that prevent you from guessing and insist that you learn, the game wordlessly leads you through the rudiments of each symbol type, slowly unravelling and reinforcing the rules until you become fluent in this new piece of vocabulary. That is not to say that a firm understanding of these rules makes the game easy though, far from it. The design of some of these particular puzzles are downright sadistic, and I'm looking at you, demon Tetris pieces. They'll stick in your mind for hours, leaving you with pages of scribbled failed attempts in a notebook, and make you consider giving up the game entirely or even throwing your controller out of the window. Nope, wrong, nope, wrong, nope, that's wrong, nope, wrong, and then the light bulb. There's the solution, clear as day, and you'll wonder why it ever took you so long to work it out in the first place. The satisfaction and genuine emotional reward that comes from completing an area of these puzzles that a minute ago you couldn't even comprehend is, without exaggeration, completely unsurpassed. You'll leave each puzzle feeling smarter than most of Mensa and like you finally get it. It's an achievement without equal. None of this happens in a vacuum though. The island on which The Witness is set is as mysterious and as waiting to be understood as the puzzles it contains. Despite being able to circumnavigate it in a few minutes, the island is lush and vast and varied. Each of the dozen biomes is beautifully striking in its appearance, and in many cases the structure of these areas play a necessary role in solving the puzzles that they house. Nothing on this island has been placed without meticulous thought and attention. That object in the distance, that to start with appears to have no purpose whatsoever, later reveals itself to be a vital piece of a puzzle or a clue to something even larger. Even down to the placement of individual branches on a tree or the way that a shadow falls on the ground. Nothing's left to chance and nothing's an accident. The fact that this all just works so naturally without anything looking out of place or gimmicky is spectacular. So much so that it's a struggle to imagine how this island was even designed in the first place. And even if you were to take away the puzzles, this island is a weird and mysterious beast anyway. A bit like what the Lost Island should have been, instead of a huge polar bear filled disappointment. Statues of the former inhabitants that litter the landscape offer candid snapshots into a uniquely strange and anachronistic civilization. Have they been placed there? Or are they in fact the residents themselves, frozen in time? The whole island feels like it's been abandoned and yet also curated just for you, with a shipwreck and half-finished buildings occupying the same space as complex underground bunkers and a mysterious jungle wired up with loudspeakers. The bright colour palette and open airy feel make the Witness Island a lovely place to lose yourself in, but in any other context it would be a really unsettling place to be marooned.
I know this alone, that I know that I do not know what I see, and that I can.
The only words found in The Witness come spoken from dozens of audio tapes and a few videos found throughout the island. At first, seemingly random and disconnected snippets of talks from scientists and philosophers and writers. They soon paint a picture that's open to a myriad interpretations, but their key message seems to be really zen. Enjoy this experience for the experience alone, and set your mind to a challenge just to be challenged rather than for any external end goal. If you've got any expectations of this game, they're likely to be disappointed, so just let them go. On the most basic level, The Witness might be a bit of a letdown. There's no story, there's no other characters, all the puzzles are just line drawing, and there's no prize for completing them. And yeah, some people might be disappointed by that. But if you embrace what the game spends its whole time trying to tell you, to relinquish your expectations and just enjoy the journey, and to try and view things from a different perspective, like you're forced to in the environment, each of those lines that you draw becomes something more. They form a conversation between you and Blow, who, like the greatest of teachers, asks you to rise to a seemingly insurmountable challenge. And in the hours of frustration over one puzzle and the elation when you finally solve it, and during moments of hubris when you solve an apparently difficult puzzle on your first try, and then times of crushing disappointment when the next one stops you dead, you grow and you learn and you prove what Blow knew of you from the start. You can do this. Each line drawn in The Witness is evidence of progress. When a puzzle you first thought impossible suddenly becomes as obvious and as easy as tying your shoelaces, not because of some video game quirk or a power-up, but because of you, and because your fluency with the language of the game has improved and you have grown as a player. And above all, each line forms the story of your journey through this island. It's written by the countless failed attempts and every eventual success that you earned, and that's a story that's far more worthwhile and far more meaningful than a series of pre-designed cutscenes. And that's what's so great about The Witness.